Welcome to Linda's Creative Coiling. I'm doing a demonstration today on how to insert beads in your basket. I have this small basket and I've determined that I want 4 sets of 3 beads evenly spaced around my basket. You can see I already have 2 finished, and I marked all of them before I started with a thread so I would know where the next one went. I also decided I wanted 1 blank stitch between each bead. So what I have to do is decide how much of an angle I need to get up over my bead without stressing the coil. So I hold the bead where it will go. I'm two threads over from my mark, and decide that I need about 3 stitches worth to get up over without too much stress on this. So I'm not quite there yet. I'm going to take a couple stitches here, test my coil to see if I need some pine needles, which I do. So I'm going to insert a pine needle down into the center of my coil, rotate my gauge so I get a nice smooth coil. I turn it over and go on the left to the right. This is just the swirling basic stitch. I pull it tight, and you can see my sides are angling out just a little bit. I'll take one more, left to right, pull it over, pull it tight. I'm trying to get to right there. So that's 3. 1, 1, 2, 3. So right here I need to start my wrapping. So what I'm going to do to wrap this coil, I need another pine needle. Let's try that. So what I'm going to do to wrap my coil, I'm going to hold the basket in my left hand, and I'm going to hold the thread in my right hand, and I'm just going to start wrapping. With waxed linen thread, you can kind of stack the threads right up next to each other, and that way you get a nice smooth wrap. If you happen to be using sinew, you can overlap it a little bit, and that's fine too. I just prefer the waxed linen. I'm going to insert another pine needle down into the center of my coil. Now you can see my wrap isn't tight together, so I'm going to use my gauge as a handy dandy pusher tool to push it together, and that saves my fingers. And then I keep wrapping and wrap. Now I'm getting toward the end of my thread. What I can do to add on, I take off my darning needle. I can wrap some more out until I have just a little tail left. Then I get my new thread ready. I'm going to pull off quite a nice length since I'm, maybe I'll pull that all off. I'm just about at the end of my spool. Pull that off. I'm going to use a little ball of beeswax. I'm going to use a ball of beeswax, and I'm going to over-wax my thread. The reason you want to over-wax your thread is because you can get a nice shiny look if you hit it with the hair dryer when you're all finished, and then rub it just a little bit with your fingers. You can get a nice shiny look to your coil. I'm going to needle my thread. I don't want to thread my needle, so I hold this tight between my thumb and index finger, and I put the eye of the needle down over the thread. Voila. Okay. Go back out, find the end of my thread, and all I have to do to tie on when I'm wrapping is hold that under my thumb, take the new one and hold it under my thumb, and then just start wrapping. Easy peasy. Okay, I'm going to tighten that up again, push, 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 because I want it real condensed. When I've wrapped a few times, then I can trim those ends off. Trim them off to, I don't know, 1/2 inch or so. And wrap some more. Watch that I'm stacking my threads and not overlapping them. Gonna push them tight again. I'm trying to get out right here to this thread, so I need to do a little bit more. All right, so I'll wrap a little more. Push. Now you can see that I'm right there at that stitch. So what I want to do is I hold it down so that I can see that I'm lined up. And yes, I'm lined up. I'm going to condense that just a little bit more. Okay, at this point, then I make sure I don't have any knots in my thread. And I'm going to take a bead, put the bead onto the thread. Now, depending on what angle you want your walls is what angle you're going to insert. Mine, I want it to go slightly out, so I'm going to go slightly at an angle. I'm going to go in on the left of that thread and go clear down to the bottom of my coil as much as possible and come out on the right. Stack my thread there, and I can pull that tight. Right there, I can pull that tight. Now I'm going to go in on the left side of that thread and come back up through the bead. And I'm trying to come out on the right side of that thread, but I come all the way through that bead. Now this is the trick right here. Right here, this is the trick. I want to leave a little bit of a loop. And I pull on the one that's tight. I can pull on that one that's tight. And I can hold it tight. Then I can pull this up and snap. And that way I don't get gaps by my bead. Now this is another important point. You need to bring your thread back around to the front. Otherwise your bead won't sit in there square and nice. Okay, my bead's in, it's tight, there are no gaps. Now I can wrap some more. So I'm going to wrap some more. I'm going to condense those threads. Push, squish, squish them all together. My pine needles are still fine. You can see my gauge is just right. I can twist it nicely. I'm gonna wrap some more. All right, and squish. I'm not quite there yet. My threads aren't lined up, so I'll wrap a little bit more. And squish. All right, so if I measure, I'm actually a little bit beyond where I need to be, because I want that to line up exactly. So I'm going to unwrap a couple, hold it down. All right, that's a perfect lineup right there. So I get my next bead, put it on the darning needle. I come down, I can take that marker out, remove that marker. Now I go in on the left, I come down to the bottom of that coil and come out on the right. Stack that thread in there. And I can pull that tight. Now I go in on the left side of that thread. I come up all the way through the bead. Remember, this is where you leave a loop. You pull tight on the one that the bead is on. Pull tight, pull it really tight, and then I pull it up and snap. Okay, bring my thread around to the front, and I can continue wrapping. Okay, I'm going to run out of thread. So what you do, I'm probably going to cut this a little short. Wrap, wrap, wrap. Okay, it's not quite lined up yet. I'll wrap a little bit more. Wrap a little bit more. One more. All right, am I lined up? Yes, I'm pretty well lined up. Okay, get my next bead. Do it just the same way. Go over the top. Come in on the left. Come out on the right. Pull it tight right there. Pull it tight. Go in on the left. Come up through the bead. Keep my loop. Pull tight on the tight part. Pull tight on the tight one, and then snap. Okay. Then I can keep wrapping. Since I'm almost out of thread, I'm just going to tell you what you do when you, after I've coiled out, wrapped out again to 3 stitches, because I was here 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. I was on the 3rd one. So I want to wrap again to 3. Then I would just go under the thread. To attach it, I would just go under the thread. Then I'd have to pull it really tight and then start taking my next stitches. And that's how to insert a bead. I've got nice tight beads and a pretty basket developing. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you'll come back and check out some more of my videos soon. Thanks, I'm Linda.